Merry Christmas, fellow old schoolers. So, I'm celebrating Christmas here in the cabin in the woods with the family, and I have the rest of the family at a bigger house nearby. This is the place I'm usually going to fish, and I've been doing that since I was a small kid. And it's a fine place to just unwind from the modern lifestyle, I suppose. The essence of old school for me. Walking around in the forest the other day, I discovered that the wolves are back in Denmark. There were some tracks and an eaten leg from an animal. And I thought, well, might as well discuss some Mono-Green while we're here, because I can't really play Magic. We're in the woods. The place to talk about Mono-Green. Yeah, so let's talk about the Mono-Green archetype. I'll go over the deck I played at the recent tournament. It was sort of successful. I think I could have played it better, but then again, I'm not that experienced with it. But I'd love for you guys to talk a bit or chime in on anything you know. I'll make a brief rundown of what I've learned and what I think are probably the important things to do with this. So here's the deck I used for the tournament of Dominia Day, where it came in at the 6th place. I think so far the mana base is alright. There's 4 factories, 13 forests, and 3 Pendelhaven and a strip mine. And together with the Llanowar elves and elves of the Deep Shadow, that seemed to work quite a bit. I also think that the ice storms, we need 4 of those, and 4 giant growth and 4 berserks. That's a given. The ice storms are used against all the special lands, and especially the Mistress Factory. Actually, in this deck picture, there was actually 2 crumbles in the main deck. By mistake, I put an extra in the sideboard here instead. But I think some changes I'm considering here is taking the Whirling Dervishes out and by putting them into the sideboard against black opponents. And instead, I would like to have some Wului Wolves in this deck instead. But I'm not quite sure. I like the Wului Wolves' ability to boost other creatures. It works wonders before a Berserk, but it can also be used to destroy Hypnotic Spectres and stuff like that. I think it's pretty underutilized, that creature in the Mono-Green. Another pick could be a Gothian Pixies instead. The problem with the Gothian Pixies is that you can't really boost them with the Pendelhaven. But in the current meta in Denmark, at least, there's a lot of Draskillions and artifact creatures. And they would be nice against those. And they're always great against factories as well, because they can just block them and take no damage from them. I also think that the Avoid Fates is not a great card in this deck. Most of the permanents are not that important. There's only the Berserking kill move. And you won't wait for an Avoid Fate in order to pull that off. You would rather wait for him to tap out, or tap his white mana out, and then go in. So I actually think I would put them out of the deck completely. And up for more Hurricanes. We need a way to burn the opposing player out. And the Hurricane can provide that option. And also, it's another way to remove creatures. So I think that would be my next playtest with this deck. The Avoid Fates out for Hurricanes, and the Whirling Dervishes out for either Wului Wolves or Agothian Pixies. But we have a way to get both creature types in, because we had a user here on the channel in one of the games that told us that the Nav's Asp is not as awesome as I thought it was. It was a user named the Albino Collection, and he pointed out that the Nav's Asp, you can pay the colorless mana, that the opponent can pay the colorless mana actually before his own untap phase, and it still works. It doesn't have to be an upkeep, and that actually, well, it nerfs the Nav's Asp quite a bit in my eyes. Still okay, but a case could be made to take them all out and then replace those with the Godian Pixies. I'm a bit iffy about Concordant Crossroads. Whenever I play them, they seem really strong in this archetype, and perhaps one should be in the main deck. Just a bit worried about if you meet some explosive mid-range creatures that Concordant Crossroads will just be pure suicide to put out. But it works wonders with the Llanowar Elves as well, because they can be played and then tap immediately, like a land or a Mox, and then play further creatures. So it gives a lot of speed to a deck that needs to win on speed. So that seems like a good idea on the face of it anyway. There have been some considerations about using Winter Orbs. There seem to be a lot of Winter Orb mono-green users in the EC, and I can understand that because you have the 4 strip mines to back it up, so you can just strip the untapped lands and not tap anything yourself in order to make that strip mine work. But in Swedish, we only have a single strip mine, and those ice storms it'll hurt bad to tap 3 mana just to remove a land when you're under a Winter Orb. Also, there's a lot of power, so I'm not really sure about Winter Orbs in this deck. I'd much rather have the 4 ice storms in there. But I've heard people use it, and I'm curious as to what your experience is. For the moment, from my part, I don't think I would employ Winter Orbs in this archetype as of yet. I'd much rather have more creatures and more ways to do damage and land destruction spells. So all in all, we're looking at taking the Nav's Asp out. Sad to do it, but they're weaker than I thought. And the Whirling Dervishes into the sideboard and replace those with 4 Willowy Wolves and 4 Agodian Pixies. We're taking the Avoid Fates out, getting an extra Hurricane in the main deck and an extra Hurricane in the sideboard. 2 Blackwise, a Stormseeker, and the Tsunami will be taken out for the 4 Whirling Dervishes in the sideboard as well. So that would be my take of it on it. It would be a bit more aggressive. There'll be less moving parts without those Avoid Fates, and all in all, it will have a focus on drawing a lot of creatures as it usually did, with a soft card advantage because there are so few lands in the deck. But it'll be a bit more focused. The creatures will be better and will have a bit more removal. So that will be my first or second take on this deck if I should optimize it. I'm not, as said, jumping into the Winter Orb tech as of yet in the Swedish legal rules. But let me hear you guys. If anyone of you has experience with this archetype, am I way off here? Is there something I'm missing? Or do you agree with it? Or do you have any other experiences? I'm curious to hear about that. So Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I will see you in the start of January, where there is a new tournament coming up there. And I'm not sure what I'll bring yet. I think I'll bring an entirely new brew, actually, if I can get the cards before deadline. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.